Hello everyone. Welcome to Feature Supportability for Clarity Release 16.3.2. This is Denise Saladay. In the reporting area, I'll cover the topic Report Consumer. So what is new this release? We made some enhancements in the Reports tile. We added a new tab for available reports, and this is where users can schedule their reports. We also added another tab for schedule reports where users can view and modify these report schedules. Next, these scheduled reports can be downloaded from the user's bell notification in PowerPoint format, and that's how they'll be able to view their report output. Additionally, a specific report tab can be exported to PowerPoint. And it's important to note that users can no longer export reports in the PDF format. And lastly, we made some changes to the report security model. First, we added new security rights to control the report scheduling capability. Additionally, we made some improvements to how users assign OBS and instance reporting rights. Be aware that the reporting capabilities, which includes the Report Consumer feature, is still in beta with release 16.3.2. In my demonstration, under the Report tile, I'll show you how you can view available reports and scheduled reports in the new tabs. Next, we'll take a look at how to schedule reports using the new schedule modal. And after that, we will view scheduled and exported reports in PowerPoint. And last, we'll review the enhancements that we made to the report security model. Under reporting, we'll now take a look at the modifications that we made under the reports tile. This grid is essentially the same as it was last release, with a few modifications which I will cover shortly. The difference is that now it's placed on a new tab called Available Reports, and we also created a second tab called Scheduled Reports. In Report Designer, there's a new attribute for reports called Layout Format, and it can either be fixed or responsive, and we've exposed that attribute here in this grid. Users now will have the capability to schedule their reports from this grid. And it's important to note that only reports with a layout format of fixed can be scheduled. And you can do that either via a right-click action. You see the schedule here for this fixed report. And if you notice that for this report, which is responsive, that the schedule button is grayed out. Keep in mind that report schedules will not include any unpublished edits that you have in your reports. And users cannot schedule draft or inactive reports. Additionally, there are new security rights that you need to schedule reports, and we'll cover those later. The second way that users can schedule reports is to click inside one of the reports and note that there's a new schedule button. And if we navigate to our responsive report, notice that it does not have the schedule button available because they can't be scheduled. Regardless of where you decide to schedule your report, either from inside or out here in this grid, the interactions experience is the same. and it'll bring up the schedule modal. So if I open the modal, the first thing you'll notice is at the top it has the report name. And over here, which is a required value, is the schedule name. And this will automatically default from the report name. And I'm just going to change this here so you can see that you can customize that. The first tab in the schedule modal is the schedule tab. And this is where you set the schedule, and notice that there's an option, a toggle here called enable recurrence, where you can run it just one time or you can schedule it recurring, and we'll cover the non-recurring example first. The run-on date and time will default from the current date and time, and note that those are required. And I'm going to keep enable recurrence off because we're going through the non-recurring example, which is set by default. And when you have a non-recurring report schedule, users can really select any date and time that they want, whether it's in the past or in the future. And any date that's in the past, date or time, the schedule will run immediately. You just click Save, and you get the note that the schedule's saved. Next, we will walk through a recurring example. And you can change this, the run-on date, to any date or time. But if you set something in the past, either the date or the time, what will happen is the schedule will not generate any reports for past date and times. So it'll skip anything in the past and it'll go to the next time that the schedule is set to execute, and then it'll generate your report then. So let's toggle on and enable recurrence, and note here that you either can choose a weekly or a monthly occurrence. And if we look at week, which is the default, you can either select all weeks or you can pick specific days of the week that you want your report to execute. And here, the last thing you'll select on the schedule tab is the ending. It can either never end or you can have it set to end on a specific date. Any values that are required are shown with an asterisk next to them. And if we look at a monthly example, it can either repeat on all months or you could have it run on a specific month. And here you can choose the days of the month that you want it separated by commas. So I'll just type a couple in here. So we have 3 days in May, and I can still leave that here. It's not going to execute up to the 31st. It'll just execute on these 3 days. Next, we'll take a look at the Filters tab. And this tab will only appear here if in Report Designer you have the Show Filters in the Report Viewer enabled for the specific report. It's important to note that this tab will only display report level filters in the current release. And when this report was built, it actually had 3 filters. One was hidden, which we're not seeing here. Another one is a locked example, which is the work status. Notice you can't change it. And the last filter is the manager filter, which we've enabled for users to actually select a value. You can see here that it's a multi-select, and I can select as many managers as I want. The next tab in the schedule modal is the Export tab. And the first value is the format. It's a required attribute, and the only format that you can generate a schedule for is PowerPoint, and it's checked and it's read only. The next settings, the language, locale, date display, and unit of measure, is defaulted in from the user's settings under their avatar, but they can be changed for the schedule. So you could schedule in a different language, locale, and make some modifications. And I'll change that back to English and hours for this example. And the last tab in this schedule modal is the Share tab. And here is where you would enter specific people that you want to share your report with. And you can also select groups, and they're both multi-selects and they're not required. What's important to note is the user who creates the schedule. In this example, it's Ian Arpel. He is automatically added as a person to share the report with, even though his name does not appear in the list. If by chance Ian decided to add himself here anyways, he would still only get the one copy of the shared report and not 2 copies. Any resources or groups who you share this report with do not need to have any report security rights to view the shared reports, not even view rights. When all required fields are entered for your schedule, the Save button will become active. And to trigger the beginning or to make the schedule active, you would just click Save. Users can view any schedules they create on the second tab in the Reports tile called Scheduled Reports, and this is a new tab for this release. By default, this grid will show you the schedule name, the report, the status of the schedule, and the next run date if it's a recurring. These 2 reports here were non-recurring, and the status is completed and they will not run again, so they do not have a next run date. And if you expand the column panel, note that you have other attributes that you could display here in this grid. And it has a lot of the same capabilities as our other common grids, but it does not have the capability of the details flyout. Within the grid, the only attribute that you can change is the name. Any changes that you make here in the grid, of course, which is just the name, will apply to the next scheduled report. And the next run date here is based on the user's browser time. On this tab, you can click on the schedule name to open up the schedule modal again, and you can view any settings that you have in your schedule, and you can also make edits under certain situations. For example, if you have a completed schedule, you can't make any changes, but you can view the values that you had set for your schedule. And the same applies to canceled reports. You only have view access on any of the tabs. If you have a scheduled item, note that you can open up the schedule modal and you can actually make changes in it. That also applies if you have a schedule that you temporarily paused. You can also make edits to its schedule. And you can really change any value that you want here. Let's say that I want this to run at a different time. And I want to add some more days. If I want to change a filter, I can add another person. I can change any of these values, and I can also change whom I want to share the report with. I'll remove Alex Riviera by clicking on the trash can and one of the security groups. And I just click Save to save my changes, and the next schedule that executes will reflect these modifications. In this grid, users can update the schedule status either using the right-click action or action buttons. So notice that the scheduled report, the options are cancel, pause, resume, and delete, but notice that resume and delete are not active. Those same options, cancel and pause, are also available up here to use as an action button. And if I paused this report schedule, the options that I will have available now are to either resume or cancel it. For report schedules that are completed, the only option that's available is delete. If I had canceled a report and its status here was canceled, I could also delete it, but delete's not available for any of the other actions. If a report developer were to delete a report in Report Designer, it would also delete all schedules here for that report. And if a report developer inactivated a report in Designer and it had existing schedules, those schedules would be visible here in this grid, but users would not be able to open the schedule modal as long as the report stays inactive. So if it's reactivated, then the user could open the schedule modal. When a scheduled report is inactivated in Report Designer, and this here is a recurring schedule, IT projects budget meeting, this schedule would then be set to canceled as soon as that report was inactivated. In this release, all scheduled report output is sent to the user's notification bell. So if I click here, you can see that I have a new notification to download this report, and I just click on the download icon. Next, we'll take a look at some scheduled report output. I'm in Designer, and notice that the Operations Projects report has two tabs, Summary and Key Project Status. Whenever a report is scheduled and it has multiple tabs, all tabs will be exported into PowerPoint. Here is the PowerPoint that was produced by that report schedule. Notice that the first tab was Summary, and it's preceded by a blank slide with the words Summary on it to designate that that was the tab name. And then it goes into the details of the report data that was within that tab, and it'll show the pages. And when it gets to the last tab was called Key Project Status, and it only had one page. As you can see here, the file name for this PowerPoint was the same as the report name, which is Operations Projects. And if you schedule this report while viewing the report here via the Schedule button, you'll get the same results. While viewing the report, if you decide to export it using the Export to PowerPoint button, it will only export the tab that you're currently on. In this case, I'm on the second tab, Key Project Status. The export will go to my bell notification, and notice that this time the notification says Operation Projects, and it has a hyphen with the tab name. It's truncated because it's a little longer to fit here. But if you just click it here, you see that it'll download that. And next we'll take a look at the PowerPoint that it generated. The PowerPoint file name is operations projects-key project status, which was the name of the tab that I exported. And as you can see here, I don't have any summary slides to designate that that's the tab because I've only exported this one tab, and you can see that the output is showing here for that one page for that tab. All PowerPoint report outputs support the same widgets that we support in Report Designer. And those are pie chart, bar chart, column charts, donut chart, number tile, progress ring, tables, and attribute groups. The PowerPoint file will also reflect any badges that you have here. Notice the status indicator has colored badges based on the status, and any per period metrics that you have configured in your report. In this example, I'm showing quarterly allocations, and you can see that those are reflected accurately here in the export file. In Report Designer, each table widget can be figured differently. There's a new property for table widgets called AutoFit, and when it's toggled on, as is in the case for this example, all data will continue to display until it is shown on the pages. And if you're viewing this report on screen, it will be scrollable. And there's also an option in Designer where you can either decide to show the report column headers on every page or not. And in this table, I have that selected. But on my second tab, I had another table where I turned AutoFit off. And what will happen here in this example is only the table data that fits within the table widget side that's configured in Report Designer will display. And the option in Designer to repeat the column header on every page is hidden. The last thing I want to show you in PowerPoint is in regard to rich text attributes and how they export to PowerPoint. So if you look in my screen now, I have an attribute called Assumptions, where I have some rich text formatting. It's for the Able Payments Module project. I have increased bold, I have some underscores, and some italics. And if you take a look at the PowerPoint file that was generated from this report, and we look at the same project, Able Payments Module, notice that the data is correct, but none of the rich text formatting is displayed in the PowerPoint. You'll also see the same behavior when you're viewing these rich text attributes in Report Designer or in the Report Viewer. And this is because the data warehouse stores rich text attributes as plain text. Next, we'll take a look at the new report schedule global security rights that were created this release. As you would expect, we created the normal CRUD operation rights. We did not create instance or OBS security rights for report schedules. But remember, only those resources who have instance or OBS rights to view the report could schedule it. So they won't be able to schedule it anyways. A user may have access to a report, but if they don't have the schedule create right, they will not get the right-click action to schedule reports or to have a schedule button within a report while they're viewing it. Remember that any user who has access to view a report will have rights to schedule it and view their schedules as long as they have the create right. And the remaining three rights, delete all, edit all, and view all, are mainly global rights for administrators so that they can maintain and manage report schedules that are created by other people. We also made a couple of changes on how OBS instance rights are handled and assigned for reports. When you select the report object, you will have not only report designer rights available, but you will also have report viewer available so that you can assign these all at the same time. You couldn't do that last release. Also, when assigning instance rights, and you navigate to the report object, you can assign these rights as well. There used to be another object called report catalog, and now that object is hidden. Last release, the report viewer right was under that object. But this release, if you click report, notice that both the report designer and the report viewer are assigned under the report object. And this concludes the report consumer topic under reporting. Thank you.